Welcome back to IllumiNation Network Podcast. This is episode 2. Joining us again, we have Casper, true sidereal astrologer, and also this episode, my beautiful fiance, Caitlin. Today we're going to be focusing mostly on the new moon coming up in Aries on Monday. And with that, we're just going to pop right into the astrology of this week. We have the sun finishing its time in Aries. So, all this active energy, all this initiative that we've been feeling this month, we're really getting ready to finish this chapter and finalize all these seeds that we've planted. And, all the rest of the astrology this month is asking us to really focus on, Jupiter's in Aquarius. Jupiter is telling us, you got to get it on your own. You got to find a way to self-enterprise. And, Pluto's in nearly Capricorn, Pluto being the planet of transformation. It's telling us we're going to transform through working hard, incremental steps, one at a time. Mars, the planet of action, is in Gemini. That's telling us that, we can be doing many different things. We're going to be focusing on updating everything in our routine. And this new moon is really, any new moon is a good opportunity to shed what isn't serving us and think about what could be serving us more. So focusing on routine, self-enterprising, independence, sovereignty, all of that.
I feel all of that, yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yes. Jupiter is wanting us to own like all this wackiness too that comes along with the energy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of wild or just
following our hearts.
Yes, following our hearts. Oh, Aquarius I just love this age of Aquarius is just amazing.
It's amazing and amazingly intense as well, literally.
Yes.
Like, I also feel like with Pluto now retrograde, but as we initiate, because like you said, this Aries new moon is like, I feel like one of the things I got from it was bursting back to life, because I feel like the past months have been a lot of integration, a lot of processing, a lot of letting go, a lot of finally making peace with, certain things in our life, the way things are. Not everything is looking the way we were expecting things to look, for sure.
Right.
And I feel like we were really asked to forgive, let go, surrender, be compassionate to ourselves, be like, it's okay, we did the best we could. And now we're being asked to really look at what we have. And with Pluto retrograde, I feel like a lot of stuff is coming up for us about our shadow that we need to reconfigure and rewire. So like things that don't serve us anymore. And I love that I'm like looking, as I'm saying this, I'm looking at this card that I have that I pulled for this new moon, which is addiction, codependency.
Yes.
Because I feel like something that has been coming up for me a lot is like, where am I still seeking comfort in old things that once gave me comfort, but that aren't in my best interest to move forward with? So that can either be in relationships with certain people, or like in certain substances like food, or like sleeping a lot, or watching things that for hours that you just know aren't moving you forward. Like, we're really being asked during this dark moon phase before the new moon, like what's holding us back? And like be really, really, really like discerning with it. Like just be straight. It's okay.
Yes.
We all have that. We all have things that we wish sometimes that we didn't, but that we have to face and be like, okay, this habit thing that I'm doing is really holding me back.
Right.
It's making it so that I feel drained, or that I'm escaping dealing with my responsibilities, or that, which is also very, I feel like with Saturn square Uranus, we're really being asked to deal with certain responsibilities that are necessary for us to step out of our comfort zone and really take initiative for our lives. Because I feel like a lot of us feel it, like we feel this fire that wants to come out, and we feel like we're so close. But I feel like the past 2 cycles were showing us, okay, well, you want this.
Right.
But if you want it, you have to let that other thing that you're holding on to go first.
Exactly.
And like Kristen is saying, like, and be patient and take the steps, take the steps. Take like, and before the podcast, me and Kay were also talking about like, like if we want something, to happen. We also have to be patient, but at the same time keep taking steps so it keeps moving. Because
Right.
if we say, okay, like that's something I tend to do, like I want to take this big leap and I want to do it all at once, but because it's so
Mhm.
much, I get overwhelmed and then I don't do anything at all.
Mhm.
So
Right,
it's
exactly.
better to just take a small step that is maybe like it's like
Mhm.
you I feel like rather than bursting out of your comfort zone, it's more like you're like expanding, you know,
Yes,
you're expanding your comfort zone. You're like
yes.
slowly expanding, trying something new. Okay, that worked, feels good. Okay, more of that. Okay, more of that. I feel like with Mars and Gemini also, it's like explore, be curious, you know, like try
Mhm.
different things out and don't be afraid to fail. Because
Yes,
Saturn is like, you know, the only way you're gonna fail is if you don't try at all. Like
Exactly.
exactly.
that's the only true failure. Is like it's
Mhm.
like knowing you had all these opportunities and letting your fear, which is like Neptune and Chiron. I love this new moon chart, by the way. There's like Chiron is so present in it, which I really feel like is telling us like it's read this new moon is like really like, okay, guys, it's time, it's time. I know you're still hurting. We're all still hurting. We're all still like struggling in certain areas. But Chiron is like, if we want to heal this, we have to take action. We have
Mhm.
Exactly.
to do things
Exactly.
with also Venus. I think what is Venus
Venus
doing?
and
I think
Mercury are in Taurus.
isn't Venus is it no Mercury's with the North Node? No,
N-
Venus no
Um, I think
is
it's
he?
Mercury is with, or oh no, 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 I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the retrograde coming up. The retrograde coming up, South Node will be with Mercury, but right now, oh, hold on, let me
I
think.
fe- there was I feel like there was either Venus with the North Node or Mercury with the North Node. But what I
Mhm.
was reading the other day from that with that forming an exact sextile to Chiron
Mhm.
and also even like I think featuring into Mars all at the exact same degree. And I for when I look at degrees and aspects, I use Vedic astrology. So like I all have the exact same degree. So that means basically what I felt from that is like Chiron is really a big player during this new moon. And it's
Mhm.
asking
Mhm.
us like, okay, we're hurting, it's okay. But the only way that we're going to heal from that is I feel like not by just focusing on the wound and just like sitting
Right.
around and like, but also taking steps that move us away from that pattern, that move us away from that
Mhm.
wounding, so that we can also be active and expand and feel good. And then in a feeling of better, of feeling better, then address, you know, like as things come up, address them. But if we just don't take any steps, nothing is going to come up for us to be addressed. And we're just going to stay in that comfort zone, which is also, you know, what kind of Uranus with the sun before I think was last week, that conjunction, also like really like for me really showed me where I was afraid to step out of my comfort zone and where I
Mhm.
was holding on to that too tightly. So like there's a lot of themes like around comfort zone and around taking small steps to get out of that. And through that, we also heal
Yeah.
Mhm.
because Chiron is so involved in this new moon chart. Like it's so activated.
I feel like with Chiron being so with this new moon, it's also like our wounds are being brought up in our emotions. And it's like, you take the emotions and you just ride the waves. The waves are going to be fire this time, so you really do.
Yeah.
It's just all about surrender. It's so crazy how
Yeah,
with water and fire, it's just all about surrender.
it is.
And yeah, I felt that a lot lately. I felt that with my shadow work. I felt that just times I didn't want to feel that, times when I wasn't reflecting, Chiron's like knocking on the door like, hey, remember this? You want to go through this real quick? And I'm just,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
just have to surrender with it, let it pass
yeah.
its course. And yeah.
To expand on that card that you had showed us of codependency being a
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
major theme, that makes me think of what I imagine the whole era of Aquarius is going to be, the age of Aquarius is going to be, in that we're going to be self-enterprising. I imagine it to be somewhat like a new age feudalism, where like in the old days we used to be like, oh, the blacksmith, he provides the swords and the armor, and the farmer, he gives us the food. The future, I see it as like we're all going to have our own personal businesses, and we're all going to have a network that's within close proximity of us, or at least accessible to us, to where we're going to be able to share resources, share our knowledge, and it's only going to apply to those who feel in tune with what we're offering.
Right.
And this is kind of highlighting the aspects of this new moon that have come up for me, because it seems to be aligned with my personal south node. And what I'm realizing is what I realize with all of this is that I have such an affinity for wanting to fix things as I see them. And branching out, starting to do my own business, I'm starting to feel like a certain level of self-respect for myself, where I'm not wanting to tolerate unconsciousness in a day job or something along those lines, where I'm learning to see the services I offer, the information I hold within myself, as kind of like an onion, where if someone really wants to peel back the layers of the onion, they can do that. But if I'm going out of my way to unpeel the onion myself, it's going to rot. I'm going to end up expelling energy in a way where it's not appreciated. They never wanted it in the first place. And then I feel, personally hurt, because, I'm just trying to help. And it's really just stepping back for me and saying, like, I'm only going to help when needed. Otherwise, I'm going to stay within myself, work on all these things that I think are great for me and the message that I'm carrying. And if anyone wants to tune into that, they can tune into that. So that it is highlighting an aspect of self where I'm going to be letting go, but at the same time becoming.
Yeah.
Aries is such a warrior.
Yeah.
He's
and it's the opposite of my north node is in Virgo. It's telling me to create. It's in the 5th house. It's telling me
to nurture.
As well. So it's a very different dichotomy of like wanting to attack a problem versus wanting to like come up with a creative, calm solution that everyone can feel they can get a part of.
Yeah.
And the long run.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's going to be a very I've experienced South Node new moon, let's call it that, like where in 2020 an eclipse, even like it's very intense, was on my South Node exactly by the exact degree. And that was a lot of rewiring of who I am, what my focus is on, and just such deep, like, because the South Node is our karma, it is our past, it is the things that we're good at, that we've already did that, been there. And sometimes we also carry baggage over from that, or like excess weight, or things that just don't, in this lifetime, our soul is like, I'm so over that, like I want to experience something new. And with that cycle, I was really like letting go of so much that I'd identified with from that South Node angle. And it was a very intense cycle, because letting go is never easy on a human level, because those things that give you comfort, and it is what you're familiar with, and it is what you're just naturally, it's like your natural impulse. And
we're so like, we just want to have it figured out. We just always want to have it figured out. And it's just so beautiful that when we let go of having to want to know it all, how much just flows in of just wisdom or experience, or just it just comes as soon as you let it go. And
it's really like Neptune energy, like let go, and the water will just the water will just come and guide you. The river will carry you downstream towards the most beautiful, abundant paradise that you can imagine, like, but like before you want to do that, you gotta break the dam, you gotta let it go.
I feel that so much with having a business that's so tied to how I perceive myself, where in this cycle I'm learning like what I perceived as what I'm going to be doing to serve my purpose could actually use some fine tuning that's more aligned with what is rather than what I perceived could be.
Yeah. It's just
Well,
amazing.
you're already doing beautiful work. You're already aware of it. So I'm really looking forward to see what's going to come out of this cycle for you. Like only beautiful things I can imagine, only more authentic things. And
I can't
you know
divulge
where you can,
everything right now, but I've been
yeah,
dreaming about it, and it's just going to be keep continuing to manifest from here.
awesome, man. I feel like you should share some of that with me and Kate so that we can also, like really take the leap on some things and just, but we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
we're gonna do that. We're gonna hold each other to it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really with all this astrology going on in this lunar phase that we're in, this next 14 days leading into the next full moon cycle, we're investing in everything in our lives that we want to be getting better at. And we're looking at what cycles persist in our life right now that aren't serving this life that we perceive for ourselves. And what is the reason why these cycles are persisting? And a lot of it is this attachment to a perceived sense of self. It's an attachment to outcomes that we think should happen. And so much of being in tune with what is and what can possibly be manifested is just being in a receptive state.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know about that one. I know. Like I feel like control has been coming up so much. Like I've been every single conversation I had today, every single person I've interacted with so far, like either control issues were triggered, and I was seeing it. I was seeing how so many people control issues were being triggered today. And also for myself, like where am I still holding on too tight? Where am I like just contracting myself, trying so hard to have that thing or like have that outcome or feel that way or be that way, and I feel like with all these Neptune cycles with these Neptune cycles, that Pisces cycles that we just had, ooh, I don't know about you guys, but the last 2 months were like a lot of having to let go and surrender. And I feel like this last dark moon phase from that cycle is really like showing us, okay, this control thing in this area, we're gonna make you aware of it so that you can work on letting go. It doesn't have to go at once. Like we're still human. We're still like, it's okay. We still have these conditionings and these programs, but it's like really being made aware of it now. And there's like almost no way not to see it because it's literally shoved in our face, I feel like at this time.
Mhm.
Like
Yes.
it's literally like you can't deny it. You have
Right.
control issues, like okay, spirit, I surrender. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like
As you're describing this, I'm like going through it in my own head because I wrote notes for the podcast of points I want to make, but I'm also
Yeah.
like, this is a free flowing conversation. So it's like hit the points, but in a more natural way.
I love the points you made, by the way. So
Yes.
and I feel like that's something I want to bring into my life more, and I want to for sure is more structure, because structure also helps you um at the same time letting go for sure, but also structure helps you flow in a way that will be good, will feel good,
Mm.
because you have, like you were saying, focus. That's one of the things you mentioned for this new moon. It's like about focused intention. Like like if you don't have that structure, if you don't have that focus, like I noticed, like I want to work on my business, and then like for example my phone beeps and it's like, oh well, let's see what's up here, or like, oh okay, like, oh, this is like a really resonant shadow work message right now, let me go do some more like shadow work. And I'm like, but wasn't I just gonna do my business? So it's really good to
Right.
have some structure for sure. So
Yeah.
if and I love the topics that you wrote down. So I'm totally down to going into more of that as well.
Mhm.
As we flow, we also address.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's like one of the most beautiful things about my relationship with Caitlin too,
No.
is that she's very much like a flow person. I feel like she's always the kind of person that like she's like the flower that I see when I'm walking down the road and I
Oh.
just like have to stop and appreciate. I'm all about like planning and structure. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get this walk in and then I'm gonna go do this and this and this. And then I'm like, I'll be 5 minutes late. I don't mind.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. She brings out that's Libra energy.
Yeah.
That's the essence of Libra energy. And
I used to
Libra.
say that like Libra energy would drive me crazy because, sometimes I would try to just kind of suppress it and ignore it. And man, when I did that, those were the hardest slaps in the face that I got from reality and just the universe and being like, own it, because there's a reason, and it's
Yeah.
gonna it's
Yeah.
gonna come, and
Yeah.
it's all about surrender. I started thinking about, after I pointed out that the fire and air are all about surrender, I kind of started thinking about earth and air, and man, they are just surrender too. It's just surrender all the way around when it comes to these elements and these energies. And with this Aries new moon, I can't believe how much energy I've gotten, physical energy of like ready to just get up and go and do it. Usually I would be so calculated and just like, okay, hold on, which that's definitely important still, the structure, but flowing with the energy that it gives you too is just amazing. I can't believe how much more physical energy I've gotten. And I kind of relate that with just spring in general right now too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it's crazy. And like in tropical, we say that spring is already sprung, it's already here and all of this, but I really feel right now like it's like right now it just hit. It's here.
I
We're
feel the
getting
same
this
way. I feel the same
fresh
way.
energy.
I was still in winter. I'm
Yes.
sorry, but I was still like last cycle, I was still in winter. I
Me
was
too.
still I was still cleaning up the frozen branch, the dead branches and stuff,
Yes.
and like trimming for new growth. That's what it was. Like I felt like last cycle was, if I couldn't give it one name, it was I was trimming myself for new growth. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm letting go of that. Okay, I'm too strict on myself. I'm gonna be more compassionate. Oh, I'm trying to control too much. I'm letting go. Oh, this isn't working anymore. Oh, I have to let go of this person. Oh, I was trying too
Mhm.
hard to force this situation. I'm okay with letting it go. I basically to a point where I let go of so many people and connections in my life. Uh, at least on a soul level, knowing like that I want to say goodbye, like just move on, like accept, like that's really hard for me as a Libra, by the way. So
I totally
because I love people and um like I feel everyone is beautiful, but I was just realizing that with certain people I'm just not resonating anymore, I'm not flowing anymore, I'm not growing anymore. And
Mhm.
this cycle was all about trimming that as well.
Mm.
And
Libra
like
wants to
for
have balance in a way that is sometimes people pleasing, but the true balance of Libra
I
comes
was
from those
thinking
hard
people
boundaries.
pleasing, yeah. Yeah, I was
Mhm.
thinking people, like when you were mentioning accepting some aspects of yourself, that Libra energy. One of the things that I was fighting a lot was that I was judging myself, which is another thing, the shadow side of Libra, is
Mhm.
judging myself for being too people pleasing. And then I got to the core of like, okay, but why am I people pleasing? Because every behavior has a root, and that root isn't per se that root might actually be something very beautiful, but it might just be grown in a way that's not serving me anymore. So it's like I'm a people pleaser because I want to see everyone happy, and I want
Right.
to make sure everyone's taken care of and that everyone is okay and that no one feels left out. So that's
Are you
and then I
familiar?
realized,
Are you
yeah,
familiar with the book Ishmael?
no,
No.
I'm not.
What you just said right there with wanting everyone to be happy, there's this book that I read, it's called Ishmael, and the whole premise of the book is just saying how everyone has the right, everyone has a different right way to live. And that book gave me so much peace because I'm the same, we're so similar. I want everyone to be this level of happiness that I pursue. And it's just like that book really grounded me in that thought, like, okay, wow, everyone does have this different version of what their
True.
happiness
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
if I just am completely blinded by what I think my version of happiness is, I miss out in seeing their way of how they are truly happy and how they're just pure happiness is uniquely theirs. And it's just
Yeah.
so amazing. Like,
And there's lessons in how they find happiness too.
right.
Yeah. I wanna definitely put that book on my already growing list of books to read.
Books.
But like, yeah, because there's so many books that I know, and I feel like spirit, like I feel like I do feel like this weekend I'm just going to allow myself after this podcast. I'm just until Tuesday, which is when the new moon hits, by the way. I'm just gonna allow myself 3 days to just be. And one of the things that I do want to focus on is reading, because I have so many cool books that I know are going to like give me so much hope and inspiration and motivation, and um, help me get ready for the next step. And that's so important. Like reading can, and it also, like you said, it makes us feel less alone. And it's like,
Yeah.
and it helps us give a new perspective to something we're struggling with, in this case the people
Yes.
pleasing. And also connecting, like this is healing to me, like connecting
Yeah.
with you guys. I feel my tension leaving my body, I feel my nervous system calming down, because today was in many ways a very good day, but a very like Saturn day. Hello, it was like I was getting so many lessons from spirit, and like some difficult interactions that made me aware of things about myself that aren't fun to face but necessary. But as I'm talking to you guys, it's like it's already healing, and books can give you the same thing. It's like just
Yeah.
connection, understanding, and it's so important these days, guys. It's so important these days, to just connect, to
Yes.
talk to people. And then when you see that they're going through, or when you feel that they're going through the exact same thing, it just gives you this sense of, man, it's okay. We're all going through things.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to be so worried and afraid and like controlling. We're all going, and we can trust that God, the universe, is like, we're going through these things because we're being prepared, right?
Mm.
And that's why we're all going through it. And that's beautiful. And so sharing, I feel like also with Mars and Gemini, um, making an aspect to Chiron, it's like if we refuse to share, if we keep holding everything, because that's what Chiron and Pisces loves to do. It's like, oh, I'm going to save the world, but I have like a bleeding, like heart. Literally, my heart is bleeding, but no one can see that. That's my problem. I'm gonna suffer in silence. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a martyr, right? And
Right.
I feel like that martyr archetype is what Chiron and Pisces kind of represents. And with Mars making a square to that in Mars and Gemini, it's like if we stay silent about our mental health, which is also Chiron and Pisces, our mental health issues, our issues around feeling lonely, or feeling misunderstood, feeling disconnected, if we stay silent, this cycle is really going to put a lot of pressure on that, and we're going
Mm-hmm.
to, and at some point we might have like this moment of breakdown. And something that can really remedy that, I feel, is if we just really, even if that's difficult, because it isn't easy to talk about your shit, or about your quote unquote shit with people sometimes,
Right.
it's necessary, because
Yes.
it relieves so much pressure when we see, oh, oh wow, I'm just human, and everyone's going through this, and it's okay, and
Mm-hmm.
I can be kind to myself, which is the transmutation of that Chiron and Pisces energy, is like being super compassionate to yourself, and
Right.
like holding yourself like a baby, basically, and being like, when, like, imagine, like, that's something like I feel like this is something that I want to tattoo my body, or something that I can remind myself, because when I'm being self-critical, or when I'm feeling down, or when I'm frustrated, I'm like, imagine if I was a baby
Yes.
and I was holding myself right now, and like,
Oh,
would I be like, yelling at myself and like being
no.
frustrated for the fact that I'm struggling, or would I be nurturing myself and like being like,
Yeah.
it's okay, like, it's okay, let it out, feel you're loved, you're protected, you're safe. And I feel like that's the energy that this new moon wants us to cultivate for ourselves,
Yeah.
because
Yes, that
we
is so
can't rely
beautiful.
on it from the world around us. We have to find it
Right.
within ourselves, right? Our inner mom, I feel like our inner mom is really speaking to us these days, for
Yeah.
sure.
You know who
100%.
probably had a Chiron in Pisces?
Who?
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, I mean, he had
Yeah.
a lot of Pisces. He has a
Yeah.
lot of Pisces energy in general, for sure. I feel like
He-
he's a true Pisces, Aquarius cusp type person. I
Yes.
totally get
Yeah.
that from him. Like,
I totally can too.
He
like
totally
super,
like
super.
carried the message of the age of Pisces. And now that we are moving into the age of Aquarius, we have Jupiter in Aquarius. This Chiron in Pisces to me is kind of saying like, get out of the martyrdom and start getting into the self-enterprising, outspoken, zany, wacky,
Yeah,
free thinking Aquarius
yeah,
mindset.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
What a beautiful
Uh,
time to be here, you guys. I love it. It just feels so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially talking to other souls on the same level. I've been and I've been blessed in that sense that I have less friends than I've ever had, or less people that I ever had that I communicate with. But the people that I have are like, I know they're going to be my soul family for the rest of my life, because that's what they are. They're my soul family. And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for, like, even if I have like just 3 people for the rest of my life that I can totally just be myself with, and totally be that other side of Pisces, and Pisces and Chiron. Chiron and Pisces is complete vulnerability, complete surrender,
Yes.
and just seeing source in the other person as you see it in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that oneness, while
When
also appreciating the duality, like,
yes.
of a partnership and a connection, like that energy. As long as I have a few people in my life, like, that's all I need. And I'm really grateful for that, for sure. Like, I'm really grateful that we're doing this podcast. This is the second time. I'm really grateful for Tristan for pushing it, and making it happen, and trusting me to be on it. Like, these are beautiful things, and they're so authentic. Like, I feel so real right now. I don't feel any masks, or and literally masks, which is
Yes.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're
let's
just
not get
Wow.
into that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if us three get into that, it's going to be like not so love and light anymore.
Yeah.
Not so Pisces anymore. But no, but
Right.
seriously, like,
That's gonna be an Aries themed podcast.
I love it though. I feel like you and I should do a podcast on the medical system one day. That's
Oh
going
my
to be
gosh.
Oh
lit.
man.
Yes.
Oh my
I'll
god.
take it back to the Rothschilds and inheriting the newspaper and then using the oil industry to create pharmaceuticals from petrol. We'll go deep. We'll go there.
Oh, I love that, because yeah, like, that's like my most conspiracy theory side, and I love it. Like, I'm now accepting, because that's something that also came up for me. I was afraid to show the side of myself, like the really, like, shadow warrior, like activist, angry, like, side of myself to the
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
world. And
But it's righteous
it's been
anger. We'll beat that drum.
but actually it's been killing me, because I feel literally like I'm suffocating a part of myself that wants to be expressed. And I
Yeah.
and one of the energies I resonate with the strongest is Game of Thrones. We've all seen it, right?
Yeah.
Daenerys. Like, that's
Yeah.
me.
Daenerys. Yes.
That's my girl. Like,
Yes.
I wanna be like Dracarys, bitch. Like,
Right.
like,
Right.
like, and I feel like that's the perfect energy that this Aries moon is asking us to allow, especially as light workers, where we've been fed, almost like force fed, this idea that we have to only be compassionate and only be,
Right.
which is the feminine.
I love
But
that
there's
you use the word allow. That's exactly it.
we have to allow,
yeah.
because it's inside. It's not like we have to create it. It's there. But
Right.
we're so afraid. And even like there's even this element with Chiron also. It's like there's a wound around expressing. It's like a wounded masculine. Like we're afraid to show how pissed off we are. We're afraid to show when
Right.
someone violates our boundaries.
When
Because we're always
I personally do that, my solar plexus will literally shake.
yeah.
It'll shake, and I'll have to breathe into it, and then I allow it to just flow out. And it's just like this righteousness, just like, oh, it feels so good.
Same.
So much of the love and light community has really tainted the idea of righteous anger for people, because they say like, oh, you're triggered, you're coming from a place of reactivity, but like,
right.
just because you're triggered doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Trigger is saying it's a yellow
it's a
light,
feeling.
go inward.
Exactly. It's a feeling your body's producing. Like, why would that be something that's not right? I mean, your response, like that's another thing, your reaction to what you do with that feeling, that's a whole nother story. Like you can go like beat people up or like cuss or like project, that's a whole other thing. But that feeling of anger, frustration, those are valid responses from your body and your being telling you, you know what, this is something that upsets me, and that means that I want to do something, like I want to change that, or I want to, like do something with that.
You can't love and light your way out of getting mugged or something like that.
Literally. And I feel like that's been coming up for me all second since the Lionsgate in 2020, which is the 8th of August, which is like when, and it's beautiful because it's also it coincides in sidereal astrology when Leo season is starting. Like it's that like kingly, just sovereign soul, like free will, like that solar plexus energy, like really strongly. It's like it's where the sun is at home. So I felt since that, and also Mars being extremely bright throughout autumn 2021 into, I think, around December is when it started to dim. But Mars was the brightest it's been in a long time. Mars was literally like brighter than Jupiter at some point. It was just this red, so beautiful, and that captivated me for many of those months. Mars was actually one of my strongest guides during that time. Mars was teaching me like, hey, you need to embrace your warrior archetype, because that's actually an archetype that we all have in our genetic ancestry, and it's like actually one of our most wounded archetypes right now, because we live in a world where like if you don't walk on the side, like on a sidewalk, someone's gonna tell you like you're gonna get hit by a car, and it's like like there's everything evokes a fear response in us these days. So like we're so afraid to embrace our warrior who's like, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna go for it even if I might die. And I repeat, even if I might die, the warrior archetype is the energy that allows us to transcend the fear of death and embrace the courage to live. Right.
Exactly.
And that's so important, and that's what Aries highlights, this archetype. And that's what's so important in this time where there's so much fear, is don't let it hold you back from living the life that you want to live.
And speaking of it holding back, like right after the Lionsgate last year is when we experienced the Mars retrograde. That being in September through November. And that was like right when they were talking about locking down again, and everything was starting to get like a little crazy. Elections were going on, and that was the time we needed our forward momentum action.
Right.
But what was really crazy was that when we were living on the West Coast, the exact same day that Mars went retrograde in Aries, the sky literally turned red from the forest fires.
It was so insane. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if that's not a like sign, like and shamanic prophecy, like I don't know, what more do you want?
Right.
Like, and also like the comet Neowise, like during the eclipse season, like what the fuck, like also in 2020, like there's been so many signs, and like I feel this is something Kate and I talked about before the podcast. It's like sometimes those signs trigger fear responses within us, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But I feel like this is really a time for us. Like, if that's what you need, guys, get silent, get quiet, get real with yourself, and listen to your body. Listen to the feeling that certain thoughts, certain people, certain things evoke within you, because that is the only thing that we can listen to right now, because our immune system is like not entirely as it should be. I mean, there's many things you can do for that, as surely,
Right.
but in this time there's always going to be some blatant stress, background response going on. So like this time, use this time before the new moon to get grounded, to like maybe take some time away from social media, get in your own energy, and
Yes.
listen to your internal responses, because those are the strongest guides to navigating through all of these, like this miasma of feelings and things, and like ideas, and like there's so much coming at us, right? There's so much from
Mhm.
every single direction. There's something coming at us, and the only way to get clear on that is by being like, okay, I'm gonna like shoot and go inwards.
Yes.
And that's, I feel like, what the spicy season taught me,
Mm-hmm. Me
is
too.
that healing is always found by going within and by connecting with what you know is pure. And what do I know is pure? Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Like she don't play no sides.
No.
She created everything, like she's
Right.
the reason we're talking here, like, like she is literally us, we're her. And
Yeah.
the best way to connect to ourselves is by connecting with her. And that's where we
Mhm.
will find inner peace. That's where we will find inner strength and inner resolution and inner clarity. And I feel like this new moon in Aries is also going to, especially with this dark moon themes that are coming up now, which are like, it's like us starting to see things, but it's still like a little bit painful to look at certain things. This new
Mm.
moon is bringing us a lot of clarity. It's like, this is it. You're still
Right.
like, the light is, this is the your light. This is your cue, the cue
Mm-hmm.
to start. And but with compassion, because that's definitely what Pisces, like, that we didn't have these two intense with Neptune Venus conjunction on top of the new moon. Like, we didn't have that happening. For that was literally like spirit intervening, being like, hey, y'all need to be way more compassionate with yourselves. Like, y'all being way
Yes.
too harsh on yourselves.
Mm.
Y'all just experienced something heavy, and the light
Mm-hmm.
workers were like, it's happening, like, where's and like what, meanwhile we were like losing jobs, like things were collapsing, like,
Right.
like we were going through it, but we were like,
Yep.
it's the age of Aquarius. And spirit was like, dude, are you even like processing what just happened to you? Are you even
Right.
like,
Like, do
are
you
you
even
even like
like?
feeling like?
Yes.
And yeah,
Exactly.
literally. And that's why I feel like that new moon with Venus and Neptune was so beautiful, because it was opening us up again to our hearts and to our
Yes.
compassion, and also to our faith, for sure. Like, I felt with that new moon, I felt a lot of faith and trust, and I was like, man, everything's gonna be okay, like Bob
Yeah.
Marley
Yeah.
vibes.
Yes.
Speaking of faith, that's really where I can think that this really, that's the keystone is faith. As soon
Mm-hmm.
as this age of Aquarius hit, we have all of these debilitating factors coming up from the outside world.
Right.
And it makes me think of a story, well, something that I heard from someone I'd met. I was getting on a Greyhound bus to go back home after visiting family a few years ago. And, I had no idea where to stand for the bus. And, I go up to this guy and I'm like, hey, excuse me, do you know where I could find the Greyhound station? And the guy's like, I have no idea. I'm actually blind. And then I look down and see he's holding his cane. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't realize, but it's like
That's actually
it's like 1
hilarious.
a.m. And I'm like, what is a blind guy doing outside on the street in Iowa City? And he tells me, that he starts telling me this story. He said, I'm actually coming back from Tibet. I'm about to go see my mom. And I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting story. Tell me more. And he starts saying that 2 years prior, he was diagnosed with this inoperable brain tumor, and it took his sight away, and he wasn't able, I mean, his life just got completely upheaved. And so they tried all sorts of alternative healing methods. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go out to Tibet. I'm going to meditate with these monks, and I'm going to find that healing. And so that's what he did. And they said, you have 6 months to live. But he went out there anyway. And every day they'd sit in the mountains, they'd recite the original Sanskrit Bible, Sanskrit being a language that's so in touch with vibrations and, just the idea that our voices, sound itself carries magic. It's like a spell.
Oh yeah.
And so literally meditating in the mountains every day with these Tibetan monks, his tumor went away. And when I was meeting him, he was on his way to his mother's house to say, hey, Mom, I'm still alive.
No.
That's awesome.
And
That's beautiful.
with that, speaking on faith, I want to offer a mantra for all of us to kind of unite around in this chapter of the dark moon and doubting ourselves, but also looking forward to the age of Aquarius and all of these things we want to do. So this is a quote. This is a mantra in Sanskrit, and it literally translates to, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. May the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. And so with that, if you're driving, I wouldn't recommend closing your eyes, but just listen, and we'll repeat the mantra 3 times. So with that, I will start. It goes, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. And for those who may not have heard of this idea of sound carrying vibration, of our words being spoken spells, it comes from a premise of, there's an experiment that's set from a doctor named Masaru Emoto, who experimented with water, and he froze water after saying words to it like, I love you. And the water froze in a pattern that was very crystalline and organized. And then he said, I don't like you, or something like that to the water. And when it froze, it was all drippy and gross. And just mantras in general. Mantras are something that we can deeply unite around and embody the message of, just say a mantra a day or something like that. A mantra a day keeps the bad vibes away, or something like that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Befriend
Affirmations,
Chiron.
mantras, really powerful stuff. And even when as we were saying, it grounds you, it's like you're
Yes.
connecting to your voice. You feel like and it brought up more of that when we were talking about that desire in me. I really just want to connect more and meet my soul tribe, and just have these campfires where we can just sing mantras and create magic together, which we're doing right now, and it's beautiful. But it definitely makes you nostalgic for the days where that was more accessible. And that's why I feel like we're being pushed to find new ways of communicating, of networking, and meeting each other. I feel like now we're all preparing, we're all preparing for the next step. But I feel like 2022 especially I have some. I'm not gonna go into that too deeply now, but there's also some astrological pointers to that. Is that that is really when we start to like people start to meet each other. You know, people that went through the awakening process, through the shadow work, like that because shadow work will go on for the rest of your life, but the most of the nastiest, you know, like the heaviest stuff, and that are ready, like Tristan earlier mentioned, like that are ready to move beyond trauma bonding into more of that love, no, like just compassion for one another and loving each other and connecting and finding safety. And I really feel like that's going to be a really big theme that we're moving towards, is finding our tribe in the world. And because we deserve that, we you know, we're human beings, we love being social, and we deserve people in our lives that we can resonate with and that we can vibe with. And I want to take a moment to also be grateful for the fact that we already have people like that in our lives, you know, and
Yeah.
that we're doing so much, that we can do so much more, and that we're going to do so much more with these people, and that we're going to have so many more magical moments together. And this is like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is just the beginning. Like
Mhm.
Yes.
I feel
I
like
get
this
so
new
excited.
yeah, I feel like this new moon in Aries is literally like my the initiation of a rebirth phase for me. Like literally, like,
Mhm.
I mean, being a Pluto ascendant, transformation has kind of been my thing, you know, but I feel like this one is really like different. It's not just transformation of my psyche and myself and my shadow, but literally just completely new life with all the lessons and the wisdoms that we've accumulated over the past year, parentheses S, because it's mostly been the past year that's been the most intense, you know, and the most
Yeah.
significant, but where we can really start making different choices that help us really connect with what is true to us, and phase out all of that stuff. Like, I feel like most of the light workers, including me, the past months were mourning, like we were in a sort of grieving process, that we had to let go of our old lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I
this
feel,
time, especially going into a Mercury retrograde in a few weeks,
oh
give you a
no.
good opportunity to take a plant medicine retreat or
Yeah.
go on a Vipassana retreat, really go inward, especially for myself. Taurus is my first house. So this Mercury retrograde Taurus, I'm really looking at having a plant medicine ceremony for myself.
Yeah.
That's a
And
really
then
good idea.
having Taurus South Node, I'm literally living in the town that I grew up in, that literally everything could just be so easygoing, cake for me right now. I'm really just like allowing these new opportunities to come and take this step forward and just completely surrender into my uncomfortable life that I'm about to start living, that I'm so excited for.
Mhm.
But just as excited I get, I am just as scared, and that's why I'm just like, yep, this is the time. We're
Exactly. And
going.
Living on
that's,
the edge of our comfort zone and
Yep.
what we're
and
capable
let's
of.
exactly. And the fact that we're now so feeling so much come up just
Mhm.
shows how big of a breakthrough point we're at.
Yeah.
Because also for me, like the amount of doubt and fear and like going back and forth, and like literally, like I was telling you guys, like at some point where I was feeling like I was going psychotic or something. I was like, what the heck's going on? Like what? Like that's literally us breaking through the membrane of an old us and stepping
Mhm.
out into something new. And that's painful, it's uncomfortable, because it is a grieving process. Like,
It
we're
is.
saying goodbye, we're saying
Mhm.
goodbye to many things, and many parts of ourselves, many parts of our consciousness
Mhm.
that served us, and it served us loving in many ways, lovingly, and we enjoyed it.
We were
I
comfortable.
I enjoyed many parts of my old self and the things I did. I enjoyed, like, partying until 2 a.m., drinking alcohol and like eating French fries afterwards. I love that. You know, like I was happy. Those were my moments of joy. And now I'm
Yeah.
learning, hey, there's other ways of experiencing joy that now better align with my soul's desire and my soul's path. And I'm not saying I'm never gonna party till 2 a.m. anymore, but you know, like
Right.
it's like there's so much shifting, and that deserves to be mourned, that deserves to be
Yeah.
grieved and honored. And I feel like before the new moon, I think I feel that now on Monday I'm gonna hold a little fire ceremony for myself and just yeah, say goodbye to a lot of things and just allow myself to feel all of that, because feeling is where the power is at. You know,
Yeah.
it's where we can really transform our thoughts, our beliefs, and find courage, find hope, find new strength is through the feeling, through the emotion, energy and motion. So I really feel like I'm gonna do a little fire ceremony, and I recommend all of you guys, like fire is the element for this new moon.
Mhm.
Also, when you're setting your intentions, make sure that you speak it out or even scream it out, because that's also Aries, and with Mars being in Gemini and Gemini being ruled by Mercury, you know, it's also about like speaking and communicating our
Mhm.
desire and our fire. So it could even be like something that is also fun is sharing your intentions with a friend, you know,
Yeah.
like and maybe
Yeah.
like even if you need it, being like, okay, we're gonna keep each other accountable, you know,
Yes.
these type of
Yeah.
things, like, which is very Taurus, Aries. It's like, okay, we have all this like ambition, and Taurus is like, okay, well, if you want to do it, like, you gotta also, you know, take the steps
Mhm.
and be disciplined and be loyal to yourself. And so if you have difficulty with that, which is totally okay, I have that myself, like committing to myself. It's like, okay, well, then I'm gonna just share that with someone that I trust, and we're gonna help each other get through it. Because
Yes.
guys, like I feel like as leaders in consciousness and growing and evolving, we sometimes forget that we also need help. We can also ask for
Mhm.
help. We don't always have to
Mhm.
be the ones like having all the answers and the solutions, you know.
100%.
And just
Yeah.
because we don't have everything 100% together, just like you said, we're going to be integrating our shadows for our whole lifetime. We're really um, trying to focus on. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, we're focusing on integrating these shadows. We're trying to embody the aspects of self that are new, while still being okay with getting rid of the aspects that are old, that
Yeah.
things need to fall
Right.
apart before they can
Yeah.
It reminds
Yeah.
me of like when you were younger and you were having growing pains because your body was growing, and your mom could have been like, oh, well, here's a Tylenol, ignore the pain. No, this is like
Oh,
spiritual. This is DNA changing. This is like, you can't take a Tylenol and not feel this anymore. This is like, feel it, because that is what is going to burn the ashes. That's what's going to be the new awakening. And guys, isn't this kind of crazy? This duality just like pops into my mind, how we're changing our DNA by awakening spiritually and all of this, and now at the same exact time there's these people taking these vaccines who are changing their DNA in a completely opposite different way, of just like this like chemical way,
Mm-hmm.
of this unnatural what's the word I'm looking for,
Solution.
right,
And
solution, and just like,
invasive.
yeah.
yeah.
And it feels like a divergent timeline where half of the population is seeing like the human body is inherently flawed. I need to look to a
Right,
higher power to provide my body with the tools in order to heal
it's
and
not
stay
even in a
safe.
higher power, it's an outside power.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's trusting scientists, doctors, and government, which when was it a good idea to trust the government? And then the other half of us are saying, like, our bodies inherently know how to heal themselves. there's knowledge that we're tuning into now that's, long lost and newly rediscovered, saying, these are systems that we can do to stay in alignment with how our body heals itself, to have faith in the body, rather than come into contact with a virus that has a 99% survival rating and deciding we're going to change our DNA just to fight that. Like,
and like, honestly, like, I could go really deep into this, because the germ theory of viruses is not something I subscribe to.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe, and there's a lot of science actually that's, of course, what you call black market science. Basically, it's not being published because they would never allow that and stuff. But where it's showing that a virus is actually an exosome, which is something that your cell produces as a response to something that is happening to your body.
to
So
the
Mhm.
conditions that are in the
like,
body.
exactly. And look, I'm gonna just throw it out there. It's very interesting that this started around the same time when they were starting to put 5G up in the air.
Mm.
And I'm
Right.
saying, like, like, and also there's this experiment where they were experimenting on horses with the influenza virus to see if horses would infect each other. Basically, there was this one infectious horse, and they made him sneeze in the same, or like sneeze and cough and like all these things you have, all these symptoms in the same room, and they did not observe that the other horses got sick, like as you would normally expect from like an infection, like that contagious
Mhm.
disease model.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
with America and so many countries here in the West, our governments did not focus on the things that would have kept us healthy, like getting sunlight. Instead, they said, stay inside, lock your doors, never leave the house, have your food delivered. And then also how 90% of all restaurants subscribe to the same three ingredients of bread, meat, and cheese, which don't
Mm-hmm.
do anything to serve the body.
Right.
And we just were told the exact opposite things that would have kept us healthy. And
yeah,
that goes back to terrain theory, like you're saying with these horses, is that the other horse didn't get sick because there was no condition for the horse to hold sickness.
yeah.
And all these foods like bread, meat, and cheese, they create mucus within the body, and that mucus is what is incubating viruses.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the coming to the next point, is like, is the virus actually the thing that we need to fight, or is it just a messenger provoking a very natural response in our body to a sickness or to something that's wrong inside of us? Also, if you look at the coronavirus statistics, the people that they label, or the deaths that they label as caused by COVID, 99, or like, not, let's say 99 is maybe like an exaggerated number, but at least 90% of the people are either very old with compromised immune systems, or they had like a ton of underlying conditions already, like diabetes and overweight and like all these things. So it's like, what is the problem here? Is it like the virus, or is it like something like they would have probably like died from something anyway, like
Yeah,
anytime
it
soon?
was it was
And
94% of people had an average of 2.6 comorbidities. So, they had heart disease, cancer, and a little bit of diabetes. And I'm just thinking, like, the virus isn't what killed you.
I like
And
this. I like that, because I usually, when I read these statistics, I feel if it's intuitively correct or not, but I love that you know the exact, see, what 90, what was it, 94% of
94%,
Yeah.
people had 2.5.
2.6 comorbidities.
Well,
And
there you have it. It's in the effing statistics, like,
we have the
Yeah.
documents.
yeah, we have
Right.
it. It's in the evidence.
Yeah.
But that, of course, is not what you read on the news. It's like, nah, like,
And
we can
then
go
I
into
know
a
this could
whole,
turn into 5 hours.
80% of people
yeah.
who were affected by COVID were vitamin D deficient, which does so much for the immune system. And it just goes back to say that in the West, especially, we are inherently not healthy people. Majority of us are obese. I think it's like over 70% of us are overweight. And, if anything, COVID is highlighting the ways that we need to bring more health to our lives.
Yeah.
In some ways,
100%.
maybe pharmaceutical medicines, nutraceuticals are an effective method, but inherently we need to get in touch with this Virgo nature and raise our own gardens and start eating better in order to be healthy.
Yeah. And isn't it funny? Like, I'm just gonna let my conspiracy, angry, revolutionary side free here. Isn't it funny that the same authorities that are like, oh, wear your mask, like wash your hands, social distancing, this are the same authorities in this with the same companies that are producing pesticides and chemicals in our put chemicals in our food that literally are contributing to that compromised immune system and are just feeding us all this crap. Oh, McDonald's totally legit. Like, okay, I'm just gonna spray chemicals all over your food, and it's okay if you're on like 10 different medications, and there's such a lack of regard for health.
Right.
And actually, I would even go further to say, like, there's actually like this almost like they're all working together to produce like imbalance in our health with
Yes.
the shit that we eat and consume.
Bill Gates
but
himself is a eugenicist. His father was a eugenicist. His grandfather before him was a eugenicist. He owns hundreds of thousands of acres of farm all across the world. Why would a eugenicist be so invested in farming?
Right.
Eugenicists are inherently interested in taming the herd, looking at what genetics need to be passed on through society, and that's for no one to decide, but it's being decided for us.
Literally. And this is the reality. Like, there's no way of going around it, and this is what people need to wake up to. And it's hard.
Right. It is very hard.
It is hard because you don't wanna think that someone could do that, like who could possibly, like, what kind of people would possibly like inject us with chemicals and feed us with chemicals like that are literally like wreaking havoc on our, like, I was like, if you read the side effects for your meds, if you actually take the time to read them, may cause violent episodes, psychosis, like suicide. Like, I'm like, dude, like, this should be like enough indication that, and actually there's also studies that show that most school shooters are heavily medicated.
Wow.
And the problem I
know?
see the most with the pharmaceutical industry is with the SSRIs that are used for mental illnesses. And just like all the rest of the pharmaceutical industry, it's meant to cover up symptoms.
Right.
You are depressed because of the factors in your life that are not aligned with the life you want to be living. And instead we blanket it. And then the side effects say may cause suicidal thoughts. And it's like, man, I'm taking this to get away from that. And honestly, it's putting a blanket over it. It's putting a Band-Aid on an infection. And it's not going to get better if you don't treat the actual system.
The truth is always there. The signs to see the truth are always there. And it's just, if we want to open our eyes and be extremely real and extremely disciplined with ourselves to be able to see it and then live it. Because it's just all about, seeing it, integrating it, and then living it. So it's not, an all in one step process. So
and tying that into the Aries moon. Empowerment. Like, if you subscribe to that model, it's like you're giving away all your power, saying that you're a hopeless victim that can't do anything about their condition. We have so much potential to heal ourselves. There's so much out there that can help us heal, like so much information, so much data. Just start doing the research. That's also like
that's what I hope this podcast becomes, is a vessel to channel information about what does work, what doesn't work, and the truth of the misinformation between those two.
100%. And I'm all for it because like I've been silent long enough, and I also suffered from depression when I was in my early 20s. And I was at a point where I was considering taking medication. And I even took medication against hair loss. Like it was this medication called finasteride, which was like a, what was it? Diet testosterone blocker or something like.
Wow.
But that hardcore messes with your hormones, and that's actually when my depression became much more severe.
Right.
And then at some point I had like my spiritual awakening, which was a beautiful experience with magic mushrooms. Like that really woke me the fuck up, and I started to see the world in a completely different way. And I started to reclaim my health. And then I started to do research on these alternatives to treating depression, which was diet, and it was diet related. I started exercising. Who could have thought like we talk about like it's such a mystery, but like who could have thought that if you spent more time in nature and you eat better and you exercise and you actually take care of yourself, that you're gonna feel better and that you're not gonna feel,
it's crazy.
Wow, like oh my gosh, like if you hug a tree, you're gonna feel better. Like who could have thought of, and who could have thought that the plants that are created from the same essence as we are have the answers, or that they have wisdom, or that they have healing power for us to work with. We've become it's become so like what is natural, what is normal has become so denormalized. Like and that's something that still triggers me sometimes when I talk about like for example my experiences with plant medicine. And these people go like, oh my God,
you took like narcotics?
These people that like, and this is no judgment, it's just irony. But like, okay, maybe it's a little bit of judgment as well, because like whatever. But like these people that take like 10 different pharmaceutical pills every day to get through the day are like shocked when when someone
it's
takes
the same mindset that holds us to the same standard in the pandemic. It's this fear of what you've been told by others blocking you from ever perceiving a truth that would have been found if you just looked for yourself.
And that our ancestors, they knew. They were and heaven on earth, right? That's a concept like that's been talked about in many religions. And heaven on earth is right here. It's right here. Like the earth is the heaven. Like the earth has everything we need. It's such a beautiful, abundant, magical place. And at some point we just stopped seeing that. And that's what I feel like the ancestors also, all of them talked about this time where the young, like where there would be one a group of souls that would, reconnect and remember, because it's about remembering, because it's there, it's already there, it's there, it's all in, it's our body, like
it's trauma and cycles that hold us into a past state of being that literally blocks us from being in the reality that is aligned with this highest self, this future self that's doing all the things to embody self in a way that serves as self.
As pure embodied, no bullshit, no like wearing masks.
And that's exactly what my first psychedelic experience was. My awakening was just seeing patterns of self. I had planned to move out of my home ever since I was 10 years old. And the moment came when I took plant medicine after graduating high school, where I was like, now is the moment. And then I saw like, what cycles do I need to break? What things do I need to research and invest time into to grow into the person I've wanted to be ever since I've sought something greater when I was a 10-year-old kid planning to buy a computer and do research online to break free one day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like I'm at that break free stage now. Or like we all go through different break free stages, right? I feel like I'm at the next level break free stage now, where
with your Saturn return.
Well, it's so hard because even after you have an awakening, that's the awakening is just the beginning. You started your day. you know?
I feel like
Right.
there's two types because spiritual awakening, like ascension, like all of these terms get tossed around, but I feel like there's and it's very unique. Like no awakening is like it's so personal, and that's what makes it so beautiful, but also sometimes difficult to find information because it's like it's so personal. And if you read someone's story and you start to like try to make sense of that with your own story, like sometimes you can actually disconnect yourself more because your story is so personal. What for
Right.
me, I had like, yes, I had my awakening on mushrooms and I started to see things, but I was still so disembodied from me. Like, I was just awakening to a whole new level of consciousness, but
Mm-hmm.
like the lower chakras, let's call it that for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I was still so unaware of me. I was
Right.
like, oh, the world is like this. Oh, there's so much more. Oh, plants have like these powers. Like I was connecting so much with life in a new way, which was my awakening, but I was still so asleep to me. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
2020, 2019 is when I really started to wake up to me. And first my spiritual essence, like what is my mission? What is my purpose? Like, which was another awakening. And then I thought like, I'm there. And it was like, nope. And then it was like,
Yep.
okay. And then I woke up to like my human shit. I'm like, holy shit,
Mhm.
I'm in a body with a bunch of trauma. Like what?
Right.
And like
I have to take care
like
of
my
this.
subconscious has all this. So it's like different levels of awakening. It's like different
Yes.
or remembering. It's like different levels
Mm.
of realization. And I feel like there's awakening, and then there's once you awaken, the next step is embodiment. It's like
Mm.
embodying all the wisdom, embodying all the information, embodying all the knowledge and consciousness that you open up to into
Mhm.
yourself, and embodying that and applying it into your life and healing and all of that stuff. So there's definitely different levels to it.
100%.
I feel like my personal awakening, and I think a lot of people who found theirs through plant medicine, what they really found in that first experience was something saying like, this is how much more vast the world is. Like you may think you know
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
about something, but that's just the beginning. There's levels to this shit. And
Yeah.
it was like you don't know what you don't know until you know.
Yeah. Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, literally. I love that. Literally.
And
Yeah.
it all that really revealed was the amount of work that was in front of us. So many people attribute their awakening or their psychedelic experiences to, oh, I'm suddenly reached a revelation and I'm a new person who will never go back to the old programming that I've had for 25 years up until this point. And the hardest part about realizing all of this is seeing that unless you like leave your hometown or start a new job or completely change your environment, there's going to be so many factors within your environment that are pulling you back into that old programming that you're trying to break from
Right.
that vision quest where you perceived a greater self that
Yeah.
is only available when you've done the work.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so true. And that was where my biggest frustrations were coming from. It's like I would have these amazing transcendental mystical experiences where I would feel totally embodied and totally in love with life and myself. And then I would, for example, have an argument with my mom the next day and feel like total shit. And I'm like, fuck.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
like
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's the real also with plant medicine. And I realized that it's like the real work is the integration. It's
Yeah.
when okay, you went to your retreat and you did the
Yeah.
plant. It's beautiful, it's deep work, it's painful, it's hard, but then with all of that healing and wisdom that you gain, the hardest part is going back into your old, like let's say your old cycles, your old routines,
Mm.
coming
Mm-hmm.
back, and then like you exactly like you said, being confronted with all of that and having to change it, break through it with the wisdom that you've gained.
Mhm.
Right.
And the same with me. I was in Peru for 1.5 months. Beautiful activating experience. Till December, basically till the start of the new year. And I came back I was like, even as I was deciding to go back home, there was this part of me that was like, man, I was worrying, and but something in me told me, you go, just go, even though it's going to be difficult. And I felt that, just go, you need to go.
Mm.
And the first month, especially, I was back, and I was like doing my best and so aligned and flowing and like feeling like optimistic, and like almost to the point where I was trying to control anything that didn't feel good. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sell food, and I'm going to really live clean and with my plants, and like take my medicine, and like, breathe and connect and ground every day. And trust me, I loved all those things I said, and they helped me. But I was ignoring the fact that I was coming back into old patterns, and that I had to integrate that.
Mhm.
I had
Right.
to integrate that into my renewed sense of self. And that's why I felt like March and April I was thrown back into my shadow. It was like spirit was like, okay, you think you know, you think you know it all now, you think now it's the work is done now, but there's still so much that needs to be integrated into this new wisdom, into this. And that's the thing, like you said, it's like a game, like, and it's like with dimensions, and you think you're there, and it just goes even deeper, 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 deeper. And
The
every
work
time
is
you get to
never
the next
done.
level, it's like, holy shit. And then you look back to your past self, I'm like, who was I even then? Like how? And then you can't even imagine what life looked like or felt like anymore without that level of consciousness that you now have. And it's crazy because it just keeps
Yes.
expanding.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
much of that first vision quest is just revealing how much work there is to do. And just like you said, so many people don't really recognize how much of the work is just the integration. And as soon as you start thinking like, because you're in your vision quest, in your psychedelic experience, you could see like, okay, one of the keystones of my healing is revolving around exercising, for example. And just knowing that doesn't change your life at all. You have
Right.
to dedicate yourself to waking up, drinking some lime water, getting yourself hydrated, forcing yourself to go on that run till your body hurts, and aching through the day, and then getting up and doing it again. And that's the part that people don't want to do. They just want to sit in love and light land and think that they've done the work and perceive themselves from a place that is not in reality.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how the way you get more energy is by expelling energy? Like the way that you get more energy is if you wake up and work out every day.
And like that discipline gives you freedom.
Right. It's crazy, man. Like
Man, y'all calling me out right now.
I'm calling
I'm calling myself out. Yeah.
I love it.
There's so
Okay,
much work
okay,
to
okay,
do.
okay, 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 okay. Let's. You guys want to make like an accountability pact?
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I already felt this, and it was one of my strongest guidance that I got was like, that working out, and I've done it, and it felt good. And then at some point stuff happened, and your routine gets like all and then you just leave it, and one of the things that I really want to do with this Aries, and it's Aries energy, so this is the best time to start something with Taurus, the two signs that are literally like all about physical strength and vitality. This is the best time to start that workout plan, or like commit yourself to walking each day, or like not per se each day, because again with Taurus it's like, as long as you take some steps and you grow from there, it's okay. But like there's this really cool workout program that I started doing, and it was really fun. And then after a week I stopped. So by this, like, I'm gonna do it for myself in this moment, and I'm live, so I'm gonna like just go for it. I'm gonna say, when the new moon hits, on that day I'm starting that program again. It's a 28 program,
Yes.
and I'm going to promise myself that I'm going to finish it.
Nice.
And then
Yes.
afterwards, if I hated it, all right. But I
Right.
know it makes me feel good. I know.
Yeah.
But again, it's that other, like you guys said, it's that other part of you that old self, that old story,
Mhm.
that doesn't like that, because it doesn't like the change, and it's like, okay, what's going on? There's too much like improvement here. And it
Right.
also means letting go of a certain part of yourself. So I feel like that's why we had to go through this process from the two Pisces new moons. It's because we were making peace with that. We had to let go of certain things.
Mhm.
That if we committed to these new things that we know are in our best interest, then that really means like, okay, that's dead. That old self is dead, or like doesn't exist anymore. And that's difficult, but it's the most rewarding. And I promise you guys, like, even if you take one step this new moon and stick to it with
Mhm.
Taurus consistency, which is what it offers us, like it offers us the intentions we make. We have the power of it has staying power. It's not like an Aries new moon with a bunch of like Pisces energy. It's like an Aries new moon with a bunch of Taurus energy. So
Right.
it's like we have the ability there to ground that ambition into ourselves
Into
by
reality.
committing. Yeah, by
Mhm.
committing. And it's as simple as even if you feel like, it's as simple as putting that alarm, and even if you feel like, I don't feel like shit, just being like, stop being a crybaby and do it, like a little
Yeah.
bit of that Saturn parent
I
and
love
father
what
energy.
I love what
Yes.
Joe Rogan calls it. He says conquering your inner bitch.
Literally, that's so true.
But
It
just to
is.
match that level of commitment, Caitlin and I were already talking about, because we knew this new moon was coming. We knew we had to make some changes. We were
Yeah.
talking about completely cutting out meat,
And
and that's
cheese.
something that I'm more attuned to. She's always kind of said, I don't want to eat meat, but
Yeah.
I'm always cooking, and I cook up a burger or something like that.
For
And
me, it's the goddamn macaroni and cheese, man.
Oh,
Oh my
that's too
god.
good. I love
It's
that.
too good. But it is
yeah,
my worst enemy, and I know this. And like every time I'm just like, oh, I want to, just like be comfy and just like hang out and not really do anything. I'm like, let me eat this bowl of macaroni and cheese. And then the next day I'm just like, oh my
my
God,
stomach.
why did I do that? And just like,
Yesterday
yeah.
I had a big ass container of French fries with sauce, because and the thing is, I allowed myself to enjoy it yesterday because I knew that I was saying goodbye. I knew that I was
That
saying goodbye on a certain level.
that's what I'm
And I
doing
was
this
like, you know
weekend.
what? I am just gonna be human for a weekend and just enjoy the things I wanna say goodbye to. Because I feel like if you try to change something and you don't honor what was there instead, if
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, that's why so many diet like why dieting and stuff doesn't work, because you're not addressing the roots of why that behavior was there and what it served you with. So like
Exactly.
first we were it's like examining, okay, what did not working out give me that feels comfortable? Okay, it meant I could stay in longer and just be comfortable, and like it's nice in my bed, and oh, like it's so warm and toasty. And
Mm-hmm.
working out is like, it's hard work and it makes me sweat, and like maybe like, I don't know, like makes me like my heart beat, and I start to like like, and I feel sweaty, and like, so like there's these things that also hold us back from making that step, that need to be acknowledged, and
Yeah.
need to be acknowledged, that there's a certain comfort in that we have.
Yeah.
Because if we just try to push forward, um and don't acknowledge the old that was
Mhm.
in the place that is in place, that old is just going to pop back up and take over again. So it's like really making peace, really
Yes.
And
really
it's
making
it's like
peace.
seeing so many of these things that are revolving around comfort as like almost like synthetic warmth.
Right.
Like I've really loved the feeling of having a full belly, of being at home. And so much of what I'm being called to do is, just eat to where I'm not hungry, and only be home if I need to sleep or shower, and just force myself to be out, live on the edge of that comfort zone. And so, yeah, this commitment, for the next 2 weeks at the least, we're going to completely cleanse our bodies, end it with a fast. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, if I do come back to meat, I'm going to try to find like a game hunter or
Yes.
a local butcher,
Yeah.
something that I know
me too.
that the chicken isn't 60% water and the beef wasn't grown with hormones and all of that stuff that I can just feel retching my gut as I eat it. But I'm so addicted to the feeling of being full and feeling that heaviness as I sit in my comfortable warm house with a
Right.
blanket on.
Yeah, I try to just every time I take a bite of food, I just try to ask myself, am I eating for comfort or am I eating for nurture? And I even try to think of that like when I'm at the grocery store or the farmer, well, farmers markets are good, but the grocery store, especially because you have all these temptations, is like, am I buying this to nurture myself or am I buying this to comfort myself? And that has helped me so much through this health journey, is like, and also the patience of just knowing it's not all going to happen one morning. I'm not going to wake up,
Yeah.
and
also accepting that it's okay to desire comfort, and
mhm.
that and so, like, for example, finding alternatives for comfort, I would say comfort food, because sometimes we're all gonna have a really shitty day,
Mhm.
and then it's okay to pamper yourself, to nurture yourself. But you could also do that with that. Like, for example, I found this amazing comfort food, but that's also super healthy and it makes me feel good too. Like my body
Yeah.
also, it's not just my emotions and my soul and my mind and my comfort that like enjoys. It's also my body. It's also nourishing. It's this blueberry chocolate smoothie. Like, oh my God, it's like
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
it's basically pure cacao powder, blueberries, some banana, coconut milk, some hazelnuts, and just
Yes.
blend that all up in the blender, and it's like it comes out super creamy, and like it's
Ah.
like blueberry chocolate.
Oh man.
I'm gonna make one after this.
We might have to go to the store and get some ingredients.
Right.
Yeah.
For me lately, that's been dates. I had never tried a date until 2019. And every time I eat a date, I just like think back of when I was a little kid and I would go up to the brown sugar packet that we kept in the freezer and I would take a scoop and eat it just for that little like pick me up when I was a kid. And every time I eat a date now, it just reminds me of the brown sugar. And I'm just like, yep, this is my treat. This is like good stuff.
Yeah. So it's literally about taking initiative, but taking it slow, being compassionate with yourself, because there, as you step into the new, the old will be felt and will be mourned and all that stuff. So there's also like with Chiron tying in, there's also this emotional healing that's happening, and that's
Mhm.
beautiful. And we need to be compassionate with ourselves, but also with Aries, like just warrior on. Just be like,
Mm,
okay, well, it's okay that today you feel like shit, but we're gonna do it anyway. It's like
right.
kind of like putting yourself to the most compassionate boot camp that you can think of, like a boot
Yes.
camp with compassion, because
Yeah.
Yes.
because we know that being being disciplined and like giving yourself a kick under the butt is sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself, because you want the best for yourself. And that's
Exactly.
and that's also like anything can be either healthy or toxic. Compassion, and when you're like, oh, it's okay, you can sleep all day long, like that's not going to help you, like. So
Yeah.
there needs to be a balance, and this new moon is definitely a beautiful time to do that, and to
You know,
go for it, to take the action, to take the leap.
Yes.
even though it sounded like a total character assassination on my part, talking about how much I enjoy a feeling of full belly and being in my house with a blanket. This also has been a slow integration. We've been eating watermelon and hummus and peppers every day instead of bringing pizza or something like that. And so this is something that has been a long time coming, and we're
Yeah.
Yeah.
finally ready to take the leap. And it's just
Yeah.
been with preparation, but like you said, we can't change everything all at once, and you're only going to set yourself up for hurting yourself if you try to
Right.
completely uproot all of your old life. Like the subconscious mind is 1,000 times stronger than the conscious mind because of how many years it's had behind it and how
Mhm.
many crossroads where you've chosen the other path. And it's
It's
just one choice at a
wired. It's
time.
like hardwired.
It
Yeah,
is.
literally.
Yeah.
It's like detangling a thicket of of conditioning, and that's like sometimes you'll get pricked on the thorn, and like sometimes you need to get like, you know, like a trimmer, and like it's not the easiest work, it's not the most graceful work, but it's very rewarding, because under that thicket is the where is the bloom, is the rose, you know, and that's the truth. That's the real us. That's what makes us shine. That's what makes us feel most authentic and not just comfortable, because comfort is, it's nice, but it doesn't keep us growing. It doesn't
doesn't
help us
always
move,
serve
you
us.
know? Exactly.
Yeah.
Comfort is like the south node. It's like it's kind of like what I envision as the south node sometimes is kind of like the baby that's first born, and you know everyone recognizes them for who they are and all the other various energies that are present, but you know it's also like the kid refusing to grow up is them staying in the south node and not acknowledging the work that they have to do to live in the north node.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I do have to go. I have a meeting with my parents soon. So,
It
man,
was so nice to talk to you.
yeah, definitely. I love this. Let's keep them coming. Let's keep them coming. There's many more beautiful lunations and astrological events coming up. And I just love that we also talked about other things than astrology, but that we always tie it into that's what I love. I love tying real life events and more of these things into the astrology for sure.
Yes.
Do you have any projects this week or any live offerings or anything you're going to be doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a new moon walking tour where I basically take people out into nature. I talk about herbs and like the connection between plants and the lunar cycle. And then at the end, we do like a new moon ceremony, setting our intentions and holding space. So it's the first time I've done that since February. So I'm really looking forward to it, because we were in we were in lockdown for most of March and all of April. But now they're kind of easing certain things, and I'm like, I'm not gonna like, I trust that the people that sign up will be the people like me that are like, I'm done, I'm gonna get some nature, I'm gonna do some social stuff, and like, you know, so I'm really looking forward to it.
That's
Definitely.
amazing, dude. That sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I want to do this all over the world, so when I visit you guys, that's really something that we could be doing, and we could even be doing that type of stuff together. So yeah, my networking brain, but
right.
thank you guys. This was really, 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 really nice. Like I needed this.
I did too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing again, and hopefully we can get together for the next full moon coming up in kind of Virgo Libra area. And besides that, I'll probably be doing a podcast just before that, maybe getting on an expert, hoping to get someone on nutrition, but you know, more to be announced on that. Until then, look forward to the next True Sidereal podcast. And if you want to find us on social media, you can find us through IllumiNation PNW, Facebook group IllumiNation Network, on our website, see our services and blog, illuminationnetwork.com. And if you see this on YouTube or anywhere like that, like, share, subscribe, all that helps us get seen. So really appreciate the support, people.
Thank you. Have a good day, Casper.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Much love. Take care and take action. Let's be warriors. Let's go. Let's get it.
We got it.
Awesome. I love it.
Sound the war drum.